Dumby, how's it going?
Good.
Good. I see puppers in the background.
Oh
Name.
yeah, did he make it? That's
What?
Austin.
What was the AOL things? Age, sex,
Location.
location. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the doggy's name?
Oh well, so that's Austin. He's gonna get excited now that I'm talking, and he's found a squeaky toy. So I adopted him just when I moved up here to Seattle in January. So that was good timing with everything that happened.
So we've covered most of those categories. We still don't have sex or age.
That's Austin. So yeah, he's my boy. He's about 2 years old. So
So far, so good. Apartment
yeah,
life. Is it a challenge?
yeah. I mean, I live. You can basically see my entire apartment right now. So I
Okay, all
live
right.
in.
I'm doing some. I was pretty good at Waldo or the. I see a 3D printer.
Yep.
That top thing in the red in the top is either an Iron Man mask or some sort of a mixer.
That is an infrared oven.
Oh, I was way off. Infrared oven. Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Taking up all the space now that I don't use it.
Awesome. What else? There's the rest is way too neat. They're in tubs like labeled.
Do you see my DC435 sticker up there?
Oh, I do. Yeah,
Make that out.
I got
Yeah.
one here too. Right,
Yeah,
right.
I see that. Yeah.
Oh, it's on my shirt too. I got two.
Yeah. DC repping. Yeah. That's my wannabe project area. I was doing really good earlier this year, doing a lot of cool like electronics projects. But lost a lot of that motivation lately. But I did get it all organized and put away recently, so looking good.
Nice.
Like it.
SAINTCON logo on the top one. I see it.
Yep. Yep. Finally busted out a bunch of those stickers that I've been collecting forever because I was really missing SaintCon this year.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm doing this. Missing the SaintCons. Um, how'd you get your handle Dumby? Did you pick it? Did somebody give it to you? Did you?
Yes and no.
All right, go for it.
So, my first DEF CON was DEF CON 21. It was, I was standing around in the hall. I knew Nemus and my brother are really close friends, and so that's how I got involved in everything. And so I was standing around with Lean, who I didn't know at the time, and those other two, and like a few other people I can't remember right now. But they're like, "Okay, who are you? Like, you need to have a handle right now." And I was like, Dumby, because that's what my niece had just started calling me. My niece was like a year and a half, 2 years old, and she just out of nowhere said, "That's Dumby." So to everybody in the family and everything, that's just who I was. And so it was a pretty clean transition because DC 801 became a big part of my life and like definitely family. So it was nice to have that kind of congruency between personal and hacker life come together. And so yeah, that's just how it came to be. So that was my on the spot choice, and it's really stuck since.
You don't have like big ears or anything, right? It's not like from
No.
Dumbo. Because like I got pretty big ears. I could go for a Dumby myself, but
Yeah. No, there's no rhyme or reason for it. You can, like, at the time you could have just shown her like a picture of the family and she'll be like, "That's so and so, that's Dumby, so and so and so and so." Like, she was very clear
Did-
and adamant about
did she have a name for Demos too?
it. No, it was no, he is just his name.
Okay.
So I'm the only one that got a special name. No clue why. It's one of the
My
strangest
my daughter drew your name on the board for you too.
things. Nice. I saw that.
I have as this board just ever expands, my kids just keep adding stuff to it. Gets a little out of hand, but that's called little kid gangster art.
That's right. Got to teach him to tag early.
He's now added. I was telling somebody the other day that was Luigi's hat, and then that's Wario now. My 4-year-old's putting Wario together, so big Nintendo fan. Awesome. What? How did you get into the infosec space?
So kind of same thing. I just knew people that were talking a lot about that stuff. I had heard about DEF CON a couple of years before I went to my first one, and I just heard it was a big nerd party and it was a blast for the people that went there. So I decided to tag along one year. It was the first year that I could drink and everything, so it was really worth going. I mean, obviously, it's fine to go to DEF CON and everything if you can't drink. There's plenty of accommodation for that, as 801 is proven. But to get the most of it and really loosen up and like just throw yourself out into the wind, that's the first year that I did that was DC 21. So that's just kind of a place of interest. I've always been interested in computers and everything. And then I just met the people and I said, this is awesome. I want to be with these people. Like, these are the people I want to work with, learn from, grow a career with. So just got down the path, knowing that I wanted to be in security. So from there, I kind of forged my little path. I don't know if you can hear that squeaking.
Yeah, it's all good. I got two dogs. No worries.
So that just kind of kicked off my path. And then I always had security in my mind I went through a more or less traditional IT career, working help desk and client services, support stuff. And was always kind of working a way towards security because, like I said, I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Awesome. How crazy did the DC 801 parties get at DEF CON?
Man. So some of my favorite images are the first year that we did the suite party where we had the bathtub full of kegs and the shower just full of booze, just cases and cases of booze. And it was just this tiny little suite. So we had the entire the entire bathroom turned into a bar. And it was wild. However many people we had come through, we tapped all the kegs. It was three kegs that we went through that first party. And it was a good time. I think my favorite memory of craziness was in the Bally's penthouse we got one year, and that was a mistake. Somehow Grifter pulled it together that we got like the DC 801 group for the penthouse suite, and we did some really cool stuff for the conference throughout it. Like we had it as like a meetup group. I think we did the DEF CON groups meetup there, the first one. And so we just had it as like a hangout space. So it was a really good opportunity for me to meet a bunch of random people. But we had the party there, and
is that the carpet one?
Yeah, that's the carpet one. Yeah.
Go ahead. It's okay.
Yeah, that was the carpet is a very good point. Because we had the master bedroom set aside as like the party area. So there was like the bath that we filled with like turned it into like a ball pit, and then we had all the music and everything going in there. At some point, a bouncy house castle appeared, and like not a full size, like a children's sized one, so not super big or significant, but people were jumping off the armoire into it. So we just had people like crowd surfing and then jumping off furniture and going wild. Yeah, that ended in the infamous carpet that was just absolutely destroyed afterwards, because it's kind of hard to have kegs at all, let alone in a carpeted hotel room where people are drunk and splashing around. And it was self-serve that year too, which was also a really good idea. So,
story short, we did not get the deductible back.
That we did not. How we didn't actually get banned, I have no idea. We've had some incredible luck. I'm kind of tapped out on organizing now that I've moved away and everything. But the last year that I helped organize was pretty epic for just barely crossing the line of like, you guys have caused a problem, but we're not going to ask you to leave yet. And so we've always magically walked that line.
We did get shut down last year, but it was like super early, right?
It was like 6 a.m., something like that.
What did those guards tell you guys? There's more people than they've ever seen in this room.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gone by then, so you have to tell it. So
yeah, they finally shut down last year's party at like 6 a.m. They came by a couple times before. I've never seen Marv as scared in my life as like when the first time a guard showed up and he was like, dude, they're really serious this time. They're going to kick us out. Like, we got to pay attention. I'm like, it's good.
They're super serial.
They are. They try to be, at least. So I showed up. So we had this guard knocking at the front door where you were probably working security at some point that year, but it was some other dude that hadn't done it much before. So Marv had taken over for a lot of the night, and somehow this security guard showed up. And so Marv was freaking out. I walk down there and he sees that I'm completely sober, completely got my wits about me. I'm just hanging out, facilitating things. And so his mood instantly changed from like big tough guy to like, oh, hey, so it'd be really great if you guys could quiet down and make sure that like this area by the elevators isn't crazy. And I'm like, yeah, dude, you got it. We're good. So he left. And yeah, we didn't have, or actually, no, that was the year before last party. That's right.
It does kind of blur together, and I'm actually sober throughout it, and it still blurs together.
Yeah. That was the years before last. Last year's party, I actually didn't get to see much of the shutdown. I was running around too crazy that entire night. But this last year, yeah, they shut us down at like 6 a.m. finally, and as they were leaving, the security guards were just astounded by the amount of people that were in that suite, because it was a pretty big suite. It was like one of the biggest suites in Planet Hollywood.
Were you the one who was showing me the shower room? Was that you? And then I ran into the freaking wall. Like, didn't think there was a wall there. It's just an entire shower wall of glass. I thought it was a door, and I just plowed it.
Yeah, that was where we were doing the implants, which is also another fun aspect of the DC 1 parties nowadays, is the biohacking pop-up biohacking village that appears in the basement.
Oh, it's shower.
So it's they're intense. It's a lot of people, but it's also where I've met like some insanely cool people. Like last year, for some reason, I met all of like the lockpicking gods. Like I met Lockpicking Lawyer, I met Rubber Band. So those two are like heroes of mine in the lockpicking space. So it was really, really cool to chat with them for a bit, and you see thousands of people go through that room in a night. So so I think that at the end of the night we probably had like 150 people somehow.
I really liked that space last year, mainly because I like mixing with the party, but I do like to just socialize, and the other spaces you can't. It got so loud. Yeah, and you can't talk. But that place, like, you could go corner off in a room and chat with people. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that a lot. But still had awesome space for the DJs that I really liked last Room Suite. Like, I didn't do nearly as much organizing as I had done before with that, and they did such a good job.
Yeah, usually Comp and Meta and I'm thinking of who's the one who always does the songs for us? The group, Skittish and Bus.
Skittish and Bus, yep. Yeah, my favorite. So it's still got to throw out DC-24 if you like dark electronic. That's still the best mix that I know of. DC-24, Skittish and Bust.
I like their B-Sides 2015.
That was a good one, yeah.
I use that one always as like our intro and exits for SAINTCON stuff, because it's easy to get, and you just push play and it's a good mix. It's all technical. They're throwing in hacker references throughout the whole thing. I like it.
Yeah, I remember we were working. When I was working at Secuvant, there was we sponsored SAINTCON one year, and so we set up in the CTF room. So I was just there hanging out, showing people what we were doing and everything, and it was really fun to play. I became an impromptu DJ for the CTF room, so I was just camped up there the whole time. So I would throw on the DC-24 mix from Skittish and Bus and a few others.
I remember that you were giving out like RFID tags or something, like cards.
Yeah, those.
I remember
that marketing ploy was.
Anyway,
a last minute interesting thing.
But I remember it. Like, I mean, I remember you up there sitting there.
Yeah, that was a good time.
What does Saint stand for in SAINTCON?
Security Advisory Incident, blah blah blah.
I don't know either, and people told me. I always try to remember. I'm just curious how many people actually know what it stands for.
I think it's Security Advisory
Incident Network. Yeah, team technical.
Yeah.
Transistor.
Amazing is what it is.
Amazing. It is a good group of people. I do dig it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. What was your first SAINTCON you ever went to?
Oh man. I missed all of the Weebers. Like I was just barely out of touch with the Weebers. So I think my first one was 2016. Maybe 2017.
Were you doing any of the B-sides or Open West before that?
Yeah, so Open West was one of the first conferences I ever went to. And then B-Sides at UVU was the first time I did a CTF. And so that's where I really kind of got hands-on. And I remember like that's when I was starting to get to know everybody a little bit better. And so I was just camped up in that CTF room the entire time, and I just had a blast. Actually, crap, I can't remember if that was the Open West CTF the DC-801 did that year. I think it was. Because did we do a B-Sides at UVU?
It's before me. I wouldn't know.
Man, I can't remember. Either way, we there was either.
You're now the graybeard of this conversation.
Yeah, I know, right? My memory is terrible for that. That's not a good place for me to be. So I do remember that it was either Open West or B-Sides, one of the first ones that they did. DC-801 was around for. They did a CTF. And so I won that, and that was like the first time I actually felt like I had known anything significant, because I truly came from knowing absolutely nothing. Like I was always interested in computers, and I was a nerdy kid, but I don't think that I succeeded in doing anything necessarily. Like I took a Linux course in high school and we hacked an original Xbox, which was really cool, but I don't understand anything that I did at the time.
Right.
So now I look back and I'm like, wow, that was awesome. I actually learned a lot, but at the time I didn't understand anything of what I learned. I remember my first DEF CON that I went to, I didn't even know what SSH was. So I was sitting in a talk next to Nemus and I'm like, wow, I have no idea what's going on. Like I know computers network and I know that they talk, but I have no idea what it means to actually interact. So pretty quickly with, being involved with that crowd, I got along. And then so I went to that first true security conference, or at least combo if it was Open West, and sat down with the group and did the CTF. I remember Meta telling me, you should just pull some strings, like if you've got a problem with what you're looking at, just pull some strings, try some stuff. And that was his hint, to run strings on a file and actually get the string from it. And so like, I still remember those moments pretty clearly of when I was truly getting involved and starting to understand things a little bit more. So yeah, those stand out to me a lot, but obviously not the events enough to remember exactly which one they were. So,
and then we hung out at Data One Labs, or DC Data One, for a few years.
Yep.
And we had some pretty good talks, like some legit stuff. And I'm just remembering some of those times of just, I don't know, what were we just doing, the weirdest stuff, working on doorbells and I don't know.
Remember the doorbell, what was the first, the doorbell that we kept around for a long time?
So I'm a bird one, right? Like, look at me, I'm a bird.
Yeah. Oh man, that's way back in the day now. That's crazy to think.
Yeah. That I don't know. That the problem was, the doorbell worked great. The problem was we didn't use shielded wire, and there's gremlins in that building, meaning the power would escape out of its own like sleeves and conduits. So, and then it was a falling ground trigger. So the doorbell would just, every time there was like lightning in the air, the doorbell would just go off. And there was like a info guard was meeting there one day, early in the morning, and the doorbell just like, I'm a bird, mother, I'm a bird, just went off over and over and over. And then somebody finally like yanked it all apart, and I don't think it ever went back together after that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It was good times.
Remember the easy button hacking too?
Yeah.
Easy button made quite the fray. Man, I'm trying to remember. I remember I worked on some electrolysis after after the first year that we did the big tamper evident village. Work on the electrolysis and stuff. The lab was really fun and crazy.
Right. And messy.
When we first got the laser cutter. That was a lot of fun.
Right. You guys went a little insane on those
challenge coins.
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
it's just awesome. Non-stop production factory coming out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, we set up a legit operation for that.
That was good times. Awesome. How's life Seattle? I mean, it's not Utah, but I like Seattle. Honestly, Seattle's a cool place.
It feels so much like home. It's crazy. It feels a lot like Utah in like so many aspects.
Ocean.
Yeah.
Which is a lot cooler than a salty lake you don't ever want to go in.
Yeah. It's surprisingly hard to access recreation up here, which has kind of been disappointing. Like, I hate that I lived in LA, before here for a little bit, and getting to hiking was a lot easier in LA somehow. Super strange that it's
just car ride, because you go to mountains everywhere, right? But
yeah,
is it just like the duration to get in a car to get to the mountain is too time consuming?
Yeah. So like
we are spoiled with that. I have a cave like a mile from my house and a whole canyon.
Yeah, I definitely miss that. It's just Seattle sprawls. It's Salt Lake City, just bigger. Like, you drive out to the rural areas and it feels very, very similar as well. And it has that good old Utah feel.
They were saying like Salt Lake from Provo to Ogden area by 2025. They're thinking it's like potentially the size of Seattle currently. And I'm like, ugh. That's not cool.
Yeah.
It's just too many people, man.
Yeah, I've been. I mean, especially I haven't had the best. I didn't choose the best year to relocate to a new city to discover.
You're like, hey, I'd like to do this in the middle of COVID.
Yeah. So I've pretty much just stuck in my neighborhood around here. It's been nice though. I like it a lot.
Cool. What's something that people don't know about Dumby? Confession time.
I don't know. That's a weird one.
Well, you got a lot of hobbies. You're my personal DJ.
Right. I haven't shared a good link to you in a while.
Legitimately, I'm still listening to. The weird thing is, it's like all the spin-offs. It's like you give me like, hey, TV on the radio, and I'll start listening to that. But then it's like the internets are like, oh, if you like that, you like this, and then suddenly now that's like I'm listening to. Like I'm still listening to a variation of that, and that was like a year, 2 years, 3 years. I don't even know. Some variation of that I'm still bumping through like today from what you've sent me. So
sweet. Yeah.
So if
yeah,
you need,
I don't know.
You need good music choices. Dumby's got them, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I share a lot on my Twitter. That's why, like, I guess it's kind of hard for me to answer that. I'm pretty open. Like, I have a lot of interests, but I talk about them all.
You're always doing projects. I'm always hearing like, I'm rebuilding my lab. I'm doing KVMs. Today's the day. I'm starting from scratch. Next month, I'm starting from scratch.
Yeah, that's because I have the programmer fallacy where you're like, this all makes sense. This is totally perfect. It's self-documenting. And then you go back and look at it after 2 weeks and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. I have no idea what's happening. I got to rebuild it. So I'm definitely good at that.
I'm totally with you on that. My lab right now, I build it with a whole like network visibility and log capturing and endpoint capturing all together. It was working, but it kept taking a dirt nap because I didn't do it right. So then, of course, to build it right, I enlist the smartness of way smarter people than myself. The problem with that is my learning curve is very steep. Yeah. But let me tell you where I'm at now. I got vCenter running 2 vSphere clusters together, and I have Packer building my ISOs into templates, and then I got Terraform taking my templates and launching out stacks. But I have something broken there at the very end, but I'm getting close to be able to take a new ISO and launch full-on lab stacks. But now we're talking, instead of just getting this launched in a day or two, I've now spent like a month.
Right. Yeah.
And then every time I get a little further, I'm like, I know a little more and I want to tweak it a little like this. So I get it. And sometimes it's like, somebody's like, oh, can you check this? And you're like, my lab's down again because I just keep messing with it. So
yeah,
it's good and bad.
Yeah. I need to play around with my lab a little bit more. I wanted to branch out into like some cloud stuff, but it's so unapproachable right now still. Like if you're just an individual researcher trying to learn cloud, it's ridiculously hard to get into it. So I was disappointed. I was tempted to do that. I was tempted to build like a super bad beefy server. But I've still just got my little portable one, which I like. Still have the aspirations of doing a portable lab. I'd still really like to be able to go to a con and just pop open a box and be like, hey, so here's a full-blown thing. Let's do some blue simulations, or let's do some red simulations, or whatever. Because I'm really full spectrum. I don't have specialties. The last 2 years of my career, again, have just reinforced that I don't really get opportunities to like laser focus on anything. It's always just all the things all the time. So that's definitely a blessing and a curse, especially for a lab where like I don't have a clear cut example of what to do with it. Like I look at a lot of people that have like forensics labs, and like that's really, really cool and so well put together, but just would only serve me so well. So I still struggle to find where that is and what kind of want to focus on with that. Right. So
makes sense.
It's hard.
Well, I mean, you do clearly have a really good skill at growing beards.
Yeah, I mean, that I've kept up with for years now, so got that going for me.
Level 9,000. I just can't commit, man. Like, it starts to get long, and I can't commit. I just shave it off. But I do the whole thing, top to bottom. I just,
I'm there with you now. That can be the reveal. Is that I'm no longer. I guess that could be a big secret. Is I'm no longer a dirty hippie because I got. It's all gone. So there's the big reveal.
One of us.
Yeah. Now I can be a pope.
Now you do your own haircuts. It's way cheaper.
Yeah. Yep. It's awesome. I actually like it a lot.
Last night. I'm surprised you're not like old timey razor with the leather strap. Like because you get into things and really get into them.
Yeah. No, I've got my straight razor, but it's not like the whatever the blade is. I'm no Sweeney Todd yet.
Not yet. Yeah. I did it, and then I just can't do the neck. I couldn't do it. It was
yeah, it's a little much.
The part that you could make straight, I would do, but like I'm like, oh, I can't do it, and so then I just get lazy, so I don't do that anyway. Cause it's just
yeah, I I don't think I've ever had like a full neck shave with like a straight razor
I
thing.
have. They have some shops that have them. There was an old timey one in Salt Lake. Used to be on like 8th East, Mill Creek area. Like old school wood paneling on the wall, smelled like
Yeah.
musk. And there was the dude there that heated gel, and they would do it, and it was amazing. But I couldn't do it to myself. I just
Yeah.
like I don't know. I'd be bleeding out everywhere.
Yeah, I've struggled to when I do adult shaving.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, the beard is much easier for me in that regard.
yeah. Well, it's epic as always. You're
you.
still dominating it, and like Dumby, like we love Dumby. I don't know, like every time I sit and chat with you, like I just end up. It's just very positive. You're just so good energy. I don't know how to describe it. Dumby's just. I've never been sad talking to Dumby, even about sad situations, and we've had a few, but it's always just I don't know, man. You just
I do good at keeping along.
yeah, like it's legit. So I mean, hopefully Seattle's treating you well, because we still miss you. Hopefully we can get together some point in a reasonable period of time. Maybe next time I'll get out to Seattle, come say hi. Anything you want to chat about? Go over any. We briefly said your Corona Coaster projects are kind of like the rest of us. We're kind of like this mental
Just
sludge.
trying to find the motivation, find the things you can do to steadily along. No, I mean I miss home a lot for the people, for sure. But I'm really happy out here. I think that I'm excited to be making some moves, and still don't have a whole lot of focus, in particular like technologies. But it's fun. I've been able to just play with a bunch of stuff in the last year and really get hands-on experience in a bunch of different things. So no, I definitely just want to get back into visiting home for cons and stuff, because I haven't gone to a con since DEF CON last year.
Yeah.
So
if somebody releases a Blinky box that legitimately solves all security woes, just you buy this box that solves all your woes. I'm not needed anymore. You're not needed anymore. What does Dumby do if you don't do InfoSec?
probably run off into the mountains and disappear. Like,
let's go. Take your dog
Yeah.
and just run up.
yeah. Honestly, I don't know. It's something that we have to think about a lot in this industry. I feel like, because it's a good kind of comforting thought of knowing where you could go from here afterwards. I think it's going to be interpersonal, like definitely more hands-on. I've always felt for users of things. So like when I'm working in security, it's always the perspective of why did this happen? Like what tricked the user? Like what was the psychology there? And so I care a lot about how and why things happen. And I think that that's kind of gotten me in trouble in my careers, because I've always pushed like we've got to understand a little bit more. Like I don't ever take the status quo of things. So I wouldn't do well in like a lot of traditional lines of work. I feel like. So I'm very happy that this is still a hypothetical. But I think I would definitely get up into like helping people, consulting with like victims of domestic abuse, or like there's opportunities to volunteer with groups that help people that think that their spouse is spying on them through their phones or whatever. And so stuff like that really catches my interest, of a way to still contribute and help back and help people and understand why bad things happen, and just making sure that people have resources when the bad things do happen.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know what I would do either. I mean, because all the things that I like to do, I don't know if I'd want to make them my career, because then I'd probably hate them. So that's a tough line to walk, right? Like I really say again.
You just end up in another realm where you just end up owning running everything. So you would end up in some other completely random specialty like you did with security.
It'd probably be movie theaters. I'm heavily qualified to run movie theaters. I just don't. I mean, I do enjoy that. I miss a movie theater on a Friday night, sold out, when you have enough staff. I call it the staff, stock, and cash. If I have enough people to run it, enough stuff to sell them, and enough cash to make change, those are always like my biggest three woes. If that, like tearing tickets, enjoy your show, there's something very peaceful and calming about that. Like you've prepped your whole week for that. I do miss that sometimes still. Like legitimately miss it. And I still have part of my brain is wired when somebody's like, thank you, and I'm like, enjoy the show or something, and I'm like, no, like that's not a thing. It's
Yeah.
so I don't know, but I mean, movie theaters are hurting right now really bad. So
Yeah, it's I think that that's going to be a really difficult thing, is that there's going to be a lot of opportunity, sadly, with that. It's going to be a different world for sure. So I think that we're going to see a lot of small companies pop up. Some big ones die off, and a lot of small ones pop up to fill more niche needs that bigger ones did. Like, I feel places like Airbnb might drop out, and then you're going to have a bunch of smaller companies kind of try to fill that mold, or just like industries like that. So one thing that I'm kind of paying attention to is looking at small companies starting up and seeing if there's good ways that we can help them kind of realign with where we are in the world today.
right,
Because it's going to be really cool to see if cloud prospers or thrives through this. Because I mean, I think this is a good opportunity to show people a real prove it moment of, if does this actually give it easier runway for people to just start new ventures and hit the ground running. Working for Salesforce now, and they're doing a lot of that work for just, companies hitting the ground running, getting
right.
customer engagement, and making sure they understand what people are looking for, and if you can satisfy that. So
Right. I think cloud makes
definitely
cloud makes a ton of sense right now. I mean, you can launch anywhere from a VPS to that AWS. If you apply that with like Terraform, you can just spin them up, claim a DNS, claim a static IP, do your little lab test, and shut them down, and pay like a $3 bill. Like one of my brothers was running a gaming server for like a group and launched a very expensive AWS server, played for the whole weekend, and it was like $10 or something. Like,
yeah.
as long as you shut them off. If you leave them on, your bill
Right.
your bill starts going like insane. But some of that automation and scripting to like auto shut those things off makes a ton of sense.
And I really like to see, I think there's going to be good opportunity for companies to kind of swoop in and say, here's a bunch of services like that you can pop up and at demand and everything. So I think it's going to be really cool to see as a result of this, if that's kind of a new arena that opens up, because I definitely like helping small companies. The problems that they solve are so real that there's actual solutions and that they're approachable. It's not like, I'm kind of tired of the big corporate game where there's big need but no urgency or no clear path for doing anything.
Change window.
Whereas a small company, we don't have a clear need for anything, but there's all the opportunity to do stuff. So I think it's going to be a good time to see if we can really help people as an industry, security especially, as we go through this. So I've got some stuff like that kicking around in my mind. Kind of happy still working the corporate gig for a while, but
It does pay better.
yeah, that's very nice, especially living in a big city. That's kind of important.
Right. Right. Gotta keep your puppy fed.
Yeah. No, it's super interesting times. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for new things to open up. I just have no idea what they are. I'm super bad at seeing what the future is, but once I land in it, I'll do well enough.
You're a smart, competent guy. I have no qualms about that. Doesn't mean we won't get punched around a little bit, but you'll land just fine.
Oh yeah, no, I think that it'll lead to some interesting things, and some people in the community back home, hopefully especially, will have some opportunity to strike out on their own and come up with some interesting stuff, because there's so many good influences.
Right.
And good influences, good and bad, to learn from, about like how you can help companies maneuver through new times and all of that.
Right. Well, Dumby, it's a pleasure as always. Look forward to giving you a hug in person. Yeah. And I will not be comparing beards, because I will always lose, but to just see how epic it is and chat with you later. Appreciate it very much. Thanks.
Yeah, sure thing. Looking forward to more time with people back home and not being such weird times, because I feel like all of this is just still so awkward. But no, I'm super happy to have this opportunity to even participate virtually with SAINTCON, because it's a good feel. I'm happy of what they're doing so far, and looking forward to getting some of that feel, at least.
Thanks, Dummy. Appreciate it.